Hey, my name is Roy Canterbury, and I'm going to be your host today on Archer Talk 101. And if you've watching the podcast, you'll see I've got a little bit of a change here. It used to say Beginner's Guide to Archery, but I'm kind of changing the format here just a little bit. It's going to be your guide to better archery skills, which is still dealing with your uh, beginners, but also we're going to be helping everybody else that needs it. So today, what we're going to learn is how to know if your bow is set up correctly and how to set it up. That's one of the first things you want to look at to see how you're doing. If your bow's not set up right, it's going to make it a little more challenging when you're shooting. So now we're going to start off with a little bit of the recurve. Now that's going to be a little more challenging because your arrow is in contact with your bow at all times. So the setting up's going to go a little bit more challenging. A lot of them will start off with just a bare shaft to get you basic going, and then shoot fletched ones. And you're going to use feathers on your recurves exclusively because they do hit your riser at each time they shoot, and feathers will fold out of the way better than the plastic ones, and you don't get good flight with your plastic vanes. So those you're going to use that. The next one, very simple one, is going to be your crossbow. That there's really not much to do on that. You need to make sure that your one feather is pointing down into the track on your crossbow, and that's if it has one. Some of the solid ones, like the old wood ones and stuff like that, they don't have a groove down there, in which case you would want your odd one pointing up, and sometimes they put two fletch on them. But those, the more modern ones with the groove in the middle, you want that fletching to point down, and then make sure it goes all the way back against your string and the retaining clip is holding it. And now we're going to get into the compounds, which is going to be the more challenging to make sure they're set up right. To start with, you want to have your rest needs to be installed on there. So the arrow, when you have it on the rest, when it's up, if you're using a drop bow, you have to make sure it goes up when you're doing this test. But you want to look at the arrow, and it needs to be at or just slightly above what they call the burger button, which is the hole that the rest is bolted on to your riser with. That needs to be right at that level. Then you're going to go back, and where you're going to put your nock, you're going to put a loop on there, which is the best way to do it. It gives you the most consistent release. Now, where you're going to tie your loop onto is going to be so that the arrow forms a right angle between the arrow and the string. Now, when I'm setting up, I will use a couple levels, and I'll put the bow in the press and put a level on the string, and then make sure it's plumb, so it's going straight up and down, and then put a level on the arrow, and then that needs to be sitting level, and that gives you a right angle. Your paper tuning doesn't really give you this. You're going to play around. You might eventually get it, but it's easier just set it up correctly to start with. So now you've got your nock point. You've got the arrow where it's supposed to be. Now then you want to set the rest up for the left and right. Now that is going to be on most of the modern bows are center shot riser, which means the arrow is a direct line with the string. So now turn around and point the bow away from you and look at the string and how it forms up into the rest. Now you'll be able to take your riser, your upper and lower riser, and line the string up so it's right in the center of your riser, and you should be able to adjust your arrow rest left and right until your arrow is in that same line. So now that's setting your center shot. You don't have to worry about making a lot of adjustments there. But like I said, just take a look at the string. You want it to be split right in the middle of your upper riser and your lower riser, and then line all that up. And now that's got your left and right. And now when you put your sight on, all you need to do is adjust your pins left and right, and so they're all in that same line, because you're going to put a peep in the string, and you're going to look through the center of the string. So then you're looking straight down the arrow, straight down your sights. Now your left and right is going to be really close to being on. You might have to do a little bit of tweaking here and there, just a little bit, but that's going to get you real close to the ballpark. So you're at 20 yards, at least your left and right on your target. Now, as far as elevation, that's just kind of, I'd set the sight in the middle and start from there just to give you a little sight, to go. Now, as far as your draw length, we went through earlier on how to measure your draw length. You get your draw length. Now, how do you check to make sure that is really the draw length you want? Well, when you're holding the bow at full draw with your arms slightly bent, your shoulder down with the proper grip. Now looking from behind, now you won't be able to do this yourself, so you have to have somebody else do it for you. But look at your elbow. Where is your elbow in relationship to the tip of the arrow? You should be able to draw a straight line from your elbow through your hand, through the string, through the tip of the arrow. That should be in a straight line. If it's pointing off away from you, then your draw length is too short. You need to lengthen it up a little bit. Or if you're pulling too far back, so if it's back towards your back, your elbow, now your draw length's too long because you have to draw them back too far. So you want that nice straight line that gets everything in line. So now when you release the arrow, everything is being pushed in a straight line. Your arm is coming straight back away from the string and not affecting the way it turns. In turn, it will make a little difference in the way you shoot. And then you have your release technique, and I went over a little bit of that earlier, but you want to make sure you're not pulling the trigger because that affects everything else works. So use your back muscles to actually use the firing technique. That's called back tension release. That is basically how you're going to determine whether or not your bow is set up correctly. If you want to go into a little more detail, there's the Archery Talk 101 Facebook group, which is a good place to go in. You can post pictures and videos of you shooting, and we can critique it and let you know what you need to adjust on there. There's a lot of experience out there. Myself, I've had over 25 years instructing archers, and I can generally pick up a lot of things that you can improve on with just a few little things. So that's basically how you're going to set up your bow. So let's get some videos made of your shooting, and let's get them reviewed. I'll put a link in the description below on how to get to that group, but it's the Facebook group Archery Talk 101, and we'll get in there and take a look at your form. So don't forget to watch this video again, or this audio again, and listen to it. I guess you can't watch it. I am creating a video of it that I'll have posted like on YouTube and in the group, so you can actually watch it. But that's basically what you want to do to setting up your bow. Any questions? Leave comments below, and we can get them answered for you. Once again, my name is Roy Canterbury, and this has been Archery Talk 101.